Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking through some player props I like on Prizepicks for the Week 1 college football slate. We're specifically going to talk about some props I like for the games on Thursday. So for Week 1, we typically have games on Thursday, Friday, and then obviously there's a bunch of games on Saturday. Normally throughout the week for college football, a large majority of the games are going to be on Saturday, but for Week 1, we're getting some games on Thursday, some games on Friday. For this video specifically, like I said, we're going to focus on the games on Thursday. Right now, Prizepicks has props up for 6 of the games on Thursday. I think there's like 16 or 17 games total, but like there's going to be games you don't get props for, Jacksonville State, UCF, Central Arkansas, Missouri. Like you're not going to get props for those games, but we do have props up for 6 games. I've got some early player props that I do like for today on Prizepicks. 2 plays we're going to give out in this video. And as always, guys, we're going to break down these plays. We're going to share why I like them. Now, before we do get started, make sure that you guys hit that like button down below. If you enjoy these Prizepicks videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to the channel, if you are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have a Prizepicks account, make sure that you go sign up. Use that promo code NOAH. When you do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and play $5, you're going to get $50 worth of free lineups instantly added to your account. This is an easy way to kickstart your bankroll on Prizepicks. Use those free lineups that they give you. Hopefully you'll win some money off those. Can start to build up that bankroll. But again, if you don't have an account on Prizepicks, sign up and use promo code NOAH. And then I do also want to shout out Sleeper because we do have a partnership with Sleeper as well. You guys can go sign up for Sleeper. Use promo code NOAH over there. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. So whatever you put in on that first deposit, Sleeper will match it up to $100. If you want to deposit $100, you don't have to, but if you want to, they will give you an additional $100 to play with. So now you have a $200 bankroll to work with. You can try and start to build up that bankroll over on Sleeper. But if you guys don't know what Sleeper is, they're just a DFS Pick'em app, very similar to Prizepicks, very similar to all the other DFS Pick'em apps that you see around the industry. You pick more or less on player projections. You build out your lineup. You can do up to an 8-pick lineup. You can do multi-sport lineups on Sleeper, and you can win up to 100x your money. And Sleeper does offer college football props. So if you're into college football, which if you're watching this video, you're probably into college football, Sleeper does do college football. So you can take those props over there as well. But again, guys, if you don't have an account on Sleeper, download their app and use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up. But yeah, let's talk about some plays I like here for these games on Thursday for Week 1. I'm super excited for Week 1, man. Obviously, we did have some games last week on Week 0. We did give out 2 plays last week. The two pick that we gave out was just refunded because we took an over on Dylan Edwards, and he got injured on literally like on the first play of the game, like on a punt return, and didn't return to the game. So that pick was rebooted. So the 2 picks that we gave out, if you played them as a 2-pick lineup, it just got refunded. But yeah, we got Week 1 Thursday games. Let's talk about some props I like for these games. So the first prop that we're going to take a look at is going to be in the Boise State and South Florida game. Going to look at a passing touchdowns prop on Maddox Madsen, and I like Maddox Madsen for more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Now, if you look at Maddox Madsen and what he did last season, he did not go over this passing touchdowns line in a ton of games. He only went over it in 6 games last year. But you got to remember, Boise State had Ashton Jeanty last season who scored 30 touchdowns. So much of their offensive production went through Ashton Jeanty last season. I think we're definitely going to see Maddox Madsen in line for a better year, just stats-wise. Probably more yards, definitely more touchdowns. He's definitely due for more touchdowns this season. You can't expect Boise State to have as much production from the running game as they did with Jeanty last year. Now, they do still have talented running backs to fill in for Ashton Jeanty, but I think the guys they have are definitely not going to be nearly as good as Ashton Jeanty was. He was just like on another level. And this is a really good spot for Boise State to be able to go and put up some points. They're going to be facing South Florida, who gave up 32 points per game last year. Overall, their defense was very bad. They gave up the 2nd most pass yards in the country. Only Tulsa gave up more pass yards. So this was a South Florida team that you could really beat through the air. They were very beatable. Their pass defense was very poor. And if we look at the total in this game has a total over 60 points. So there's a lot of points expected to be scored in this game. And Boise State has a 34.5 team total. So the sportsbooks, they're basically projecting Boise State to score nearly 5 touchdowns here. And if Boise State scores 5 touchdowns, I think there's a very good chance that Maddox Madsen is probably contributing to 2 of those touchdowns, throwing them through the air. Boise State, they should put up a lot of points here. That's what obviously means, that's what matters when we're looking at passing touchdowns. Can't expect nearly as much production to come through the ground as it did last year with Ashton Jeanty. Like I said, they do still have talented running backs behind Jeanty, but I just don't think we're going to see Boise State's running backs running for 4 or 5 touchdowns every game like Ashton Jeanty was. I mean, there was games last year where Boise State would score like 40, 50 points, and Maddox Maxson would have like no touchdowns or 1 touchdown because all the production, the offensive touchdowns went to Ashton Jeanty. But definitely things should be different this year. This is a good spot for Boise State's passing game, facing a very bad South Florida defense that was very beatable through the air last year. And right now, if we look at FanDuel Sportsbook has this prop pretty heavily favored to go over. They have Madsen minus 140 favored to go over 1.5 touchdowns. So the sportsbook market likes the over on this prop. It's a play that I like as well. So we're going to take Maddox Maxson for more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. And then the other prop that I like is going to be in the Nebraska and Cincinnati game. And we're going to take Brendan Sorsby for more than 207.5 pass yards. Now, Sorsby, if you look at how he finished last season, it was not great, but he had some very tough matchups in there. He had to face Iowa State, who was one of the toughest pass defenses to go against last year. They gave up, I think, like the second fewest pass yards per game. So not surprising to see him struggle against Iowa State. And then he had to face Kansas State, which I think Kansas State was kind of like a middling pass defense, but TCU was a pretty good pass defense last year. Did have a good game against West Virginia. Definitely would have expected him to be a little bit better against Colorado, but Colorado's defense wasn't as bad last season as it had been in previous seasons. The matchup here against Nebraska, I think it's like an okay one. Now, Nebraska, offensively, they're kind of like a slow-paced offense. They like to, they don't throw the ball a ton, even though they have a pretty talented quarterback in Dylan Raiola. They kind of run the ball a lot. They're a team that kind of kills the clock a little bit. You typically don't see Nebraska getting into shootouts. Like Nebraska is one of those teams that just wants to, play slow, kill the clock. They're not a fast-paced, high, octane offense. But Sorsby is a really talented quarterback. He's a guy that was, showed a lot of promise last year. He had a lot of good games last year. He did have some bad games mixed in there, and a lot of his bad games came towards the end of the season, as you can see based off his game log. But again, some of those matchups were tough against Iowa State, TCU, Kansas State, pretty good pass defenses. But I mean, he did throw for 279 against West Virginia, he threw for 206 against Arizona State, threw for 241 against UCF, threw for 426 yards against Texas Tech, threw for 188 against Houston, 186 against Miami, Ohio, 298 against Pittsburgh. So he still had some really good games last year. He's a talented quarterback. He's a guy that typically gets a lot of volume. Like if you look at these games, even these games where he was going under, he was throwing the ball. He threw the ball 34 times against TCU. He threw the ball 39 times against Kansas State. Like they will let Brendan Sorsby go out there and throw it 35, 40 times, especially if the game script calls for that. And I think this definitely could be a spot where the game script calls for that, because if you look at the spread in this game, right now Nebraska is 6.5-point favorites. So Nebraska's favored in this game. This could definitely be a spot where Cincinnati is playing from behind and going to be forced to throw. Now the matchup, sure, it might not be the best. Nebraska's defense was solid last year. I think Nebraska gave up like 221 pass yards per game, which was kind of just like middle of the pack. Defensively, they're not an elite defense, but they're not like a terrible defense either. The matchup could be better, but I think this line is definitely just a little bit too low on Sorsby, given the spot here going to face a team where they're 6.5-point underdogs. I think this game is being played in a neutral stadium. I think they're actually playing this game at the Chiefs Stadium, if I remember correctly. Cincinnati's listed as the home team, but like I said, I think this game is being played at a neutral stadium. Not that really matters or anything, but 6.5-point underdogs here. I think we're going to see Cincinnati maybe in a trailing game script where they're forced to throw. And Sorsby's a guy that has big play potential. He'll throw the ball downfield. He'll take shots. He might turn the ball over some in this matchup, but I think the game script's going to set him up in a spot where he's probably going to be forced to throw. I don't know if we have a pass attempts line for Sorsby. Let's see if Prizepicks has one up. So they don't have a pass attempts line up for him, but they have him at 18.5 completions. You can maybe look at the over on that, which I don't mind. But like I said, I think if Sorsby's throwing the ball like close to 30 times here, 30, 35 times, there's a very good chance he's going to throw for 208 yards. And I'd assume his pass attempts line, if we do get one, it'll come in around like that low 30 number, maybe like 31.5, 32.5. But yeah, that's what I like as our second play for today. Brendan Sorsby, more than 207.5 pass yards. And also, if you look at the sportsbook market right now, if you look at FanDuel Sportsbook, they have their pass yards line on Sorsby set at 215.5. So we're getting an 8-yard, lower line compared to what FanDuel has versus Prizepicks. And FanDuel's, one of the more popular sports books. They're one of the sharpest sports books. I know some sports books don't do college football props, but FanDuel does. So I like to compare lines to FanDuel back to Prizepicks. Like I said, FanDuel has his line at 215.5 right now. We're getting we're getting a lower line on Prizepicks at 207.5. So that's what I like as our two plays for these games on Thursday, guys. Again, it's not a full slate of games right now. Prizepicks has props up for 6 games on Thursday. They might add more props. I don't know. I think there's like 16 or 17 games total, but we got props for 6 games. From what's available, this is what I like. Taking a look at the board the day before. I'm recording this video on Wednesday afternoon, but I will be doing more Prizepicks videos for the rest of the college football season. I'll definitely have a video up for the games on Friday because we do have some games on Friday. And then obviously for the full slate of games on Saturday, we got some big games this Saturday: Texas, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU. My team, Florida State, plays Alabama. So some big games on Saturday. I'm definitely going to have a video for the games on Saturday, giving out props I like then. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Really appreciate your support. Appreciate you guys watching these Prizepicks videos. Make sure that you hit that like button down below if you did enjoy. Hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys don't have an account over on Prizepicks, be sure that you go sign up. Use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and play $5. Again, you're going to get $50 in free lineups instantly added to your account. But that's all that I got for today, guys. Good luck. Let's win some money on this college football slate for Thursday, I should say. Be on the lookout for more videos coming out later this week for the Friday games, Saturday games. But yeah, super excited that college football week 1 is officially here. Let's make some money this college football season, and I'll see you guys in the next video.